Okay, this is Joel Morton, Farm Aide, and I'm here with Mona Lee Brock and her son Ron Brock of Oklahoma, and we're going to chat for just a couple of minutes about being a farm advocate. And Mona Lee, thank you. Ron, thank you. It's good to see you too. Mona Lee, how did you become involved in farm advocate work? How did that happen?
My neighbors were having troubles, and we were having troubles. All agricultural people were having troubles on the farm, Joel. And when you go out to produce your crops and you have to harvest it less than the cost of production, something definitely is wrong. And it's just a milling together of the farmers and their responses and actions and reactions that lead to other things, and things change. Other people are brought in, and I was recommended to go into the Oklahoma Conference of Churches and act as a referral source for a hotline statewide. And so I went in, and what we had to do was to organize. There was nothing there. Nobody knew what to do, because in the first time in history, that's all there was, just nothing. We didn't know there was such a thing as a problem in agriculture, and something to help the farmers had to be created. And so a lot of people came together, farmers, and had to do some soul searching and creative thinking. What to do? What is the problem? That there's a problem, let's do something about it, but what do we do? And so the idea of the hotline was born, and I was drafted to come up and do the work. And it became more than just a hotline and a referral source. I did very little of the referral sources as I did of the emergency interaction and intervention. So that basically, in a nutshell, is how I became involved. Two of my good neighbors recommended my name, and I came, and they kept that actually from me for all these years. I didn't know who recommended it, but I did try to find out. And that was a blessing to me. It was a blessing, I hope, to a lot of people. And it was life-saving to a lot of people. And it was a means of a referral source to a lot of people. And so nothing bad was a result of it. It was all positive for me in the greatest form. And I doubt that I'll ever know to what degree. But for myself, there's no way to describe it. It was wonderful. A lot of work and a lot of sadness, but it worked out. And unfortunately, we still have a lot of that.
I wonder if you could tell just one story about trying to give a farmer help that had called the hotline. There's one in particular that happens to come to mind.
There are so many right now, I can't think, but I will. This is probably different. I've referred to a lot to you, but there's one that I am going to talk about just briefly. One farm lady called in, and they had 4 children. They had lost their farm, and the husband was going to leave where they lived. They had to get out of the farm and find a job. And she said, I know he'll be back. He is leaving. and I know he'll be back and have something good for us where we can live in peace and quiet for a change. They had lived there all of their life there. They inherited the farm. She had inheritance from her side of the family, and he did too. And as many times as he traveled a road, as well as he knew that road, he could have turned the car on automatic if there had been such a thing, and it would have gone automatically. And that night he dived straight into a deep canyon off of the bridge. Another is a young lady, and she was the same age as myself. We went to school together. She was a school teacher, winding down the school year, and the lending agency was going to put them off the farm, and she was cleaning out the house. This lending agency definitely was foreclosing, putting them off the farm, and as she cleaned out the house to get ready to move, her husband left early to do some things, and she just had a burning stack outside of things she was going to burn. And she walked straight to that stack of things that she was going to burn, and walked right into the middle of it and burned herself to death. And then later that exact agency denied they were ever going to put them off the farm. And I can think and tell you of so many different cases like that, and some come to mind. I can just think of them momentarily, and I'll be doing something else and I can think of others. And some I've experienced them calling and telling me that they were going to absolutely kill themselves. It would be much better than to face the insulting and the way they felt after they would lose their family farm. And they just totally committed suicide. I was the only one in the state of Oklahoma who did such a thing. And I saw how serious it was and how much we needed help. And I was one person to cover the entire state. And so we started appealing and organizing every type of organization in the state of Oklahoma, all the way from county librarians to school librarians as referral sources, and different churches, and go from there. And anytime that I needed help, aside from the farmer contact we had in each county, we organized those, and all I had to do is call one farmer, and we could, in 15 minutes, we could close down every switchboard in Washington, D.C. at that time, and we have done it. And just emergencies like this are the things that we faced. And in the respect that there was only myself to do this enormous, monstrous task, this is why we need to teach our young people to go on and help out. They must, they're all we have, and they've got to help out. Otherwise, we will not have food to eat. We have been so close, and quite likely we may be at this moment on a food shortage. We are 5 meals or maybe 24 hours from a food bankruptcy totally worldwide. I haven't run the record on it yet, but it has been done. When I was active and was before I retired, we were on an international food bankruptcy. There are people all over the world starving. And if we let our food supply be controlled by some other source, we will be. We will be among those starving. I had rather they at that time be helping someone to keep us in control of the food production, because at that time they will, I hope, continue to be a nation, a caring nation to provide food, rather than be submissive to a country who has to provide food from us or for us. And this is why I would say that we have got to train the younger people how important this is. They can go to their tables at this moment and eat a full meal of anything that they wanted to eat, and be happy and know that there's more coming. But when they feed their children, will it be there? And this is what their responsibility is. We can't grow up to play dolls and play marbles. There are responsibilities to sustain life and to remain alive and to continue with the production of the human race.
Mona Lee, I know that you and Ron have worked at outlining an idea for a county-to-county advocate connection, so that in the state of Oklahoma, for example, where you're from, of course, but also possibly something that could be replicated around the country, a means of connecting farm advocates so that they can be ready to help people in every corner of the country. Could you just give us just a very, very brief description of how that might be done? Either of you, Ron, do you want to
Go ahead.
address that?
Well, just we didn't have internet back in the early days, and it would be so easy to set up a main source that everyone can connect to and visit among themselves. And there's just so many ideas and so many avenues that can come from it, and it's just it'd be a good connection source.
It seems like we have the tools now where we could set up that kind of system and actually have help in place for people when they need it, before they get into serious emergencies.
Right. The people that aren't in trouble can see it. Even the people in the city areas could look in and see it. And one thing that I think would be great to do, if someone that's qualified to do it, is go visit the people from the 70s and the 80s, the farmers that lost their homes, because this same thing is going on in the rural areas, in the towns, in the cities, and everyone is being affected by it. And they're not getting any relief either. It's just
It could be done on a basis to where in the end it's just a circle, to where in the end there would be no effort for anybody if each person could man his responsibilities and respond in that way. There'd be no effort at all and get the job done, because as you said, the electronics are available, and there'd be no effort, and still yet they'd still be in touch and stay attuned to what is happening. And whereas, while I did what I did and Dr. Wallace did what he did, and just the two of us worked the state of Oklahoma with later the whole state worked with us, and then later the whole nation. And this is something that can't be done by one person. It's something that has to be done by each person in conjunction with all the rest. It must be done, because I see it, as the farmer said today, it is coming. It could come in any different way or direction, and I don't know, each one is possible, but nevertheless, the end result is who's going to control the food.
Well, entertainment, television plays such a large part of everybody's life. They go home in the evenings, and that's what they just into TV and games, and they're into live TV scenarios. Real life TV is what they call it.
Yeah, reality shows.
Reality shows, yeah. And I think the people like my parents from the 70s and 80s that lost their how it affected their lives. I think their live testimony of today and then and what they're doing today would be a good indicator for everybody to wake up and see what's happening in their lives and question what's going on in their area. And I think everybody needs to pull together and start talking to their local community leaders, because everybody wants to pay their debts. If they can only pay $20 a month, if they've lost their jobs, that's no reason to throw them out of their homes.
Yeah.
But they're throwing them out of their homes, and they're adding attorney's fees and court costs onto this automatically. And when they never discuss what can you pay back. They never give you an opportunity to work something out. And these people, I'm sure they'd all be glad to pay $20 a month. That would slow our $1 billion a day deficit way down and solve a lot of problems in the communities. And then when they can't pay it, the attorneys just sell the paper to another attorney. And so the attorneys are essentially misrepresenting the paper to another collection firm. And none of them are held accountable for their actions.
One more question. And Mona Lee, this one is especially for you. What advice would you offer young people who are interested in becoming farm advocates? What can you tell them that might encourage them to do so, knowing that they might not get rich doing that job?
I would ask them to really examine their conscience and their lives, how they feel personally. And with each person, ask them to work with each person, look at them as an individual who has feeling, and then work in whatever manner he possibly can. If he can't find an answer right then, or if he does not know the answer, get the answer. And have compassion and sympathy, but not make the farmer feel that he is a failure. He's not a failure. And you might go with the word empathy more so than sympathy, because they don't want sympathy. They want to, as Ronnie said, get in and make a success of their lives and everything. Be a productive person. I know with one afternoon, my husband went down to, he was watching TV, and when President Carter placed the embargo of wheat, he went in and sat down and came back with a piece of paper in his hand And he said, well, he said that decision to place the embargo on Russia just cost us $70,000. To a lot of people, that's not a lot of money. But for a small family farmer in one crop, it is. And so with things like this where the causes are out of your control, they're going to have to stay attuned to what is happening. They're going to have to educate them to what's going on around them, and then statewide, and then nationally, and even internationally. Knowledge and education does not hurt them.
Mona Lee, Ron, on behalf of Farm Aid, let me say thank you very much for what you've done for farmers, for others, for your neighbors, Oklahomans, other people around the country for a long time now. We deeply appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.